Hello. Hi. Oh, hello. Hi, this is Alex here. Hi, Robert. Can we call you Bob? I think your mic is on mute.
Yep, there we go.
Excellent. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. I'm
Sure.
super excited. As you know, we all uh, hold you in the highest regard. You made such service, great service to our profession. I know many people who swear by your books and your approach. So, man, this is such an honor to have you here. Uh,
My pleasure.
Thank you again. And here's the young Simon. Let me just give you a quick context. I started doing these fake and phony coding interviews to help, people who are kind of sheepish or not sure how a real accomplished and advanced software professionals are doing their job. I want to demystify as much as we can. And so, we have 1 hour here. I don't want to extend it in respect of your time, but let's maybe start with a simple kind of a toy-sized challenge. And Simon here will apply for the job, and we will pretend as if we are considering hiring him. So basically, I will start by saying, hi Simon, thank you for accepting our offer to join the interview. Um, I would like to ask you to imagine if you've never heard of something like mortgage. Let's say we are the startup who came up with this brilliant idea that we can uh, lend people money to buy a house, and we
Okay.
think it's gonna take off. It's gonna be super important and useful. However, there are some business rules around allowing people to take on a bank loan, right? And so, how would you, now that you have this kind of a new unexplored territory, how would you go about uh, building a system? And again, I'm going to say we're not expecting you to come up with a solution. We are mostly interested in your thinking process. Bob is here going to jump in and guide us in what is the most reasonable and optimal approach to solving that. But say now you have this kind of a brand new concept, a bank loan. There are some stipulations. Of course, nobody's going to give you money for free. You'll be paying it back in installments, but there's going to be some rules around that. Um, and let me start with the first rule. Let's say we have two types of mortgages. One is variable and one is fixed. The variable one fluctuates according to the market conditions. So you're taking a huge risk, but you may materialize some gains. While if you want to lock it in into a fixed one, yes, you are safer, but then the interest charged on your installments are going to be higher. Um, Plus, another stipulation is you need to have some down payments. You cannot just walk into a bank and just pick up $1 million mortgage without any collateral. So let's say, just for argument's sake, that on a fixed mortgage, your down payment will be 5%. Sorry, it will be 3%, and on a variable will be 5%. And does that make sense? Let's start with that. Very simple.
Yeah.
And if you can share your screen and maybe just walk us through how would you, your first steps on that journey. And Bob, please jump in and correct and advise us about.
Yes.
Thank you.
Firstly, before I share my screen, I'd just like to say hello to both of you. It's nice to meet you, Alex, for the first time on screen. And Robert, obviously, your reputation precedes you. It's an honor to be here with you. And very much looking forward to our session and, yeah, learning something. I know I'm probably going to learn a lot, but I hope we all
Oh
learn
yeah,
something, hopefully.
we're all gonna learn. I mean, Bob is here. Man, this is a lifetime opportunity to really sharpen your skills.
Well, we'll see about that.
Oh, for sure. I have no doubts. All right,
Okay, I'm
go ahead,
just
Simon.
going to share my screen and I'll talk about the challenge. Oh, I'm hoping you can see my
Yeah, we can see it.
this code.
If you don't mind, just if you can enlarge the font a bit with Control
I
Plus or
certainly
something.
can.
Yeah,
Is this a bit better?
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Um, Right. So it's quite simple, the understanding here. Just to get some context before I start writing anything, I like to do a bit of thinking. So, are we thinking about perhaps having like a form or something like that, maybe a website, a place where these mortgages can be calculated?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Since you are prevalently front-end developer, right?
Sorry, let me give a little bit of background.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I wish I could see you at the same time, but it's not because of. Maybe that'll be okay. So just a quick introduction, very brief of me, very brief. I'm a software developer. I'm based in the UK. I work for one of the UK's largest car retailers. I won't say who that is, but it's very well known, household name here. And I've been a developer for about 6 years. I used to be a guitar teacher, professional, and I transitioned into code after learning to make my own website. And the short of it is I kind of float between design and coding as well on the front end. So I'm one of those people who likes the aesthetics of things, but I also like code and logic, and I very much enjoy that. My passion these days is UI in general, working with design systems. I'm currently leading some projects on that. My main focus at the moment, probably for the last year, has been testing and accessibility and filling in knowledge gaps in my skill set, which I'm absolutely loving. I've read Refactoring by Martin Fowler. I'm currently reading Test-Driven Development by Ken Beck, I'm sure you're aware. And I'm sure Clean Code will be on my reading list very soon. I hope I can call you Bob or Robert. I don't know which.
Yes, please. That's fine.
Bob, okay.
Clean code is mandatory.
So that's a bit about me. So I'm very interested in the front end rather than the back end. I'm very passionate about that.
On that topic, I just want to mention, because most of the coding interviews I did so far were on the back end. So that's in particular why I wanted to have you on the call here, because let's now presume that we're going to be doing all these calculations and all these business logic strictly on the front end, strictly in the browser. So you don't have to make any necessarily calls back to the server, right? So that it simplifies things for you. So you can just do your little web form, and then how your logic is hosted, where and how does that happen. Guide us, take it away.
Okay. I suppose, I'm going to start simple. I don't want to try and think all of it up ahead. So I'm guessing and imagining a situation where someone's going to come to a website of a company. They've got this, as you say, they're selling mortgages. So I imagine the first thing they'll want to do is apply for that or see if they can be eligible. So the first thing I can imagine is, the user's going to interact and they're going to want to select which type of product they want. In this case, that's going to be a variable rate mortgage or a fixed rate mortgage. So the way I would start testing for this might be a little different from a lot of front-end developers, but I'm happy to show you how I would do that. I've got some basic setup here, but I'm just going to make a new test file, and I'll call this, I think we'll call this, form.test just for now. And what I'm going to do is just think about the test. So what I want to do is make sure that my view is rendering a form with a select drop-down box that we can interact with. So the way I'm going to do that is just make a description for the tests. And the first one I'm imagining my first test would be, should display select drop-down box with mortgage options. So let's see how that goes. What I found recently a nice pattern to do is when I'm writing the tests, I try and think of what I want the assertion to be and work backwards. So if I start with, please stop me if this doesn't make sense, or that's fine. If I start with my expectation, excuse me, not expectation, options.
I would just say, Simon, what you're describing here is what every programmer does in their head. Whether they're doing TDD or not, there's an expectation. First thing pops into your head. Some people keep it in the head and start coding. Some people are following Bob's advice. First, write the test.
Yes.
Which is just, you formalize your expectation. It's executable, and it's your regression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, that's great. That's exactly. So, so let's say I have an options constant, and I expect it to equal, say, an array, and I want. This may change, but it's just something. So I might want to have variable rate, and I might want fixed rate as my options available. So I'll probably say the variable. Yeah, I'll just edit the test name. So mortgage variable and fixed rates options. So I expect that will be true. Now, obviously, I haven't got that, so that's not going to work. What I'm going to do is just write my arrangements. So what I want to do is, doesn't exist, but I will create it. So let's say I had a new, in fact, actually, I was building something similar earlier. So let's say I had, let's do it from scratch. So new mortgage form builder. And I can imagine that it will have, let's say, a with input option. This is using the builder pattern. So with an input, and it will be a type of select, and to pass the options. I suppose I would. I'm just going to cheat a little bit here. I'll copy these options that we have here. They're the options I want. So that's going to give me an input, and I would like to give it an ID of, say, mortgage options. Give it a name, and then let's just start super simple. I don't want to go too far ahead with build, and obviously this is not created yet. So if I go into my utils folder, which I already have set up, and I make a new file, and I say export, excuse me, so I want to make a class that will build me these objects in the document object model. So I'll get to that in a second. So the options were, I think what I'll do is I'll just open this over here so everyone can see the relationship. Yeah. So if I have no constructor at the moment, but if I have my method with inputs, eventually we're going to return the object itself, so we can keep chaining if necessary. So I'm going to have some parameters. We're going to have type, options, and name. So in this case, what I want to do is I want my builder to build this in the DOM for me. So I'll say const select equals documents, I'll create elements, and I'll say select, and what I want to do is give this some attributes. So we'll say select dot name, excuse me, set attributes, name will equal to name. We'll also give it ID. Excuse me. And we'll set that to name as well. And I think actually what I want to do. And I've got quite a few arguments here. it's not really what I wanted. So what I may refactor this. Let's give it a label of mortgage type. We'll save that, and we'll say label. And what I'll very quickly do is just create a label. And we'll say label, and then we'll say label dot set attributes, and say that is 4, and then we'll pass the name, because that will link up with the select control, so that'll be accessible. And then what I want to do is create my options. So did I? Oh, sorry.
So let me stop you there, Simon.
Yeah, sure.
And let's take a step back and think about who is creating these requirements, and what are they likely to change about them over the next months?
Well, it could be the options that are available. It could be the business rules, the percentages that are in there, I suppose.
We don't see those yet in the code that you've written. So just look at the code you've got there and ask yourself, how many of these things are likely to change because someone in the business doesn't like it for some reason? Someone who's looking at the screen and they think, that should be this and that should be that. And then ask yourself, if those things change, what is the cost to you?
Yes, it would take time to rebuild and reorganize, refactor them, I suppose.
So let's say that some marketing person, at the bank, and the marketing person is looking at the screen and they say, ooh, variable rate. We don't like to communicate variable rate. We'd like that to be variable interest. How many test failures are you going to have?
Yes, I think what I'd like to do is put those options into a constant that's accessible in one place, and then I only have to update those in one place.
That's a solution. That's a way to look at this. But now I want you to think about something else, which is at some point you're going to get this up on the screen. And when you get it up on the screen, I mean you, not anybody else, just you, the programmer, right? You're going to get that up on the screen, and you're going to know it works. You're going to be able to see the menu. You're going to be able to see the label. So what value does the test bring you?
Because I can test the behavior separately.
Well, we haven't done much behavior testing so far.
No.
It would be interesting to test some behavior, but I don't see a lot of that. Now, I'm going to pull back a little bit further. When I do GUI work, I almost never test the GUI. Because most of the time, the GUI is a bunch of pro forma junk that has to be a certain way. You've got to call these functions to put the items in, you got to put the other function to put the header in, and you see the label in 2 places, and you're going to see the options in 2 places, and it's just not much of a benefit, since you're also going to be bringing it up on the screen and looking at it. So the important part for me, the important part of doing a GUI is to have some way to get it on the screen like that. If I can get it on the screen fast and look at it, I don't need a lot of tests. I can just kind of bang that thing together in raw code without unit tests, and then put it on the screen and I'm done. And this flies in the face of all the test-driven development doctrine, but UIs are one of the places that TDD just doesn't work real well. It takes a lot of time, it's very fragile, you're going to go back to it all the time and fiddle with it. So that's my input so far.
Yeah, actually, Bob, if I may add, it's interesting, you started from the screen pushing inward, There's another practice that I grew up on, which is start from the database and push all the way up to the screen. But now we live in the world. I live in the world in the Middle Kingdom, where we want to corral those business policy rules in some no man's land, which does not rely on any commodity, any computing infrastructure. It lives in the memory, and as Bob says, it is not finicky. And if you have to, you can make it fully testable, and then if there is a change, then you're risk-free making changes and quickly see if anything blows up. Another thing I want to ask is, so far, okay, now I'm a radical in terms of this discipline. I would say so far you made a lot of damage without ever executing anything. Aren't you chasing early feedback?
Yes, I suppose.
Where's your feedback?
Yeah, I had this thought while Robert was talking. I guess I am. I should be getting quick feedback immediately, but because I'm thinking in the web world, I'm thinking of generating HTML.
To Bob's point, that this is something you can eyeball, and we are good at that. Machines are not good at that, right? And another point I want to make is Ron Jeffries said something that always sticks in my mind. The trick is to not let the trick is to make the code always working. The code must be always working. You're making damage here. You are not learning. I mean, in your mind, everything may look hunky-dory, but once you execute it, you may come, there's some kind of astonishment when you run it. So carry on.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's thank you. So if I was to take a different approach, I suppose I would get the UI up on the screen. As we discussed, and kind of do it like that. It'd probably be a good way. So imagine if I do that pretty easily. If I just create a new file, we'll kind of keep it going a different way. So we'll call it what should we call it? Mortgage calculator? Or no? I don't know.
Mortgage processing, mortgage application processing. At the end, you get declined or approved, right? That's basically the outcome.
Yeah. Okay, so I would probably my approach here would be not to focus on styling so much now, because we want to just see that it semantically works and the user can interact with it. So the first thing I can imagine is doing what I was describing, which is to build a form. We'll give it an ID. Mortgage.
I would even say that this is superfluous. I would recommend you start with tests that are going to actually execute the business logic that's running in the memory. Once you have that solved, you can bolt the UI easily on top of that. And it could be all kinds of UIs, not just HTML.
Okay. Yes. So we have the business logic in a module separate from the site.
And it doesn't know anything about the outside world. It doesn't know anything about database, anything about screens or keyboards or nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Forgive me. I'll just adapt what I was doing. Okay. So I guess when I think about just the logic itself, this will enable the feedback. So let's try and do that. Thinking on my feet here, what I would probably do is make a new class that would be called the mortgage processor, and I'll just make that file. So mortgage.
Hold on.
Oh,
test first.
Test. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So what I'll say is mortgage calculator equals new mortgage calculator. There we go. We've got our, and what I can imagine is I'm gonna act on that. So I'm gonna say, let's go to the expectations. I don't know. Let's say I had a method on mortgage calculator say print report, and I would expect that to be, just to begin with, let's say, I mean, I could be wrong, but let's say it was a string, and it just, for this moment in time, we can change this, but it could be a string that says type, and it would be,
Hey,
let's say.
I have an idea, Simon. Have you ever heard of Ken's back fake it till you make it approach?
Yes. So
let's circumvent. Let's be fake everything, just to see your test fail, right?
Yeah.
And then you can start refactoring until it gets into a good shape that Bob will hear say, okay, this is the test is specific, but the code is generic enough that we
yes.
can
So that's why I was just putting this here, though. I was just going to put,
sure.
type.
Sorry to
type.
interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good idea. Fake it till you make it,
Yeah.
and then refactor. So the type would
This is
be,
actually failing right now.
yes,
Yeah.
it is. I'm
Because
just,
you can see the test run down there. Is that test run being updated dynamically?
it is, yes. I'm just going to,
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
It's definitely failing.
good feedback for you,
So
Simon.
yeah.
okay. So we've got, I expect that. So, okay, let's go on to the mortgage calculator. I'll just add that to source.
And just quick remark, the reason I'm rushing to get, because I want to limit this to 1 hour. It doesn't make sense to be longer. The reason I'm rushing for you to get into this shape, because I would like to be able, in a position for us to be running some mutation testing, so that you explain to us what are the mutants, surviving mutants. And
Yes,
but don't
I'll
worry,
get to that.
don't worry if we don't get there, but I was hoping we will be able to.
Okay, so first step is I've got my mortgage calculator. I need to import that. From my source. Okay, and now that should compile and should work. But it will obviously say there's an error, which is what we want, because there is no method for print report. So faking it as you make it, I believe what you're saying is, for now, we're getting feedback. We just want to return a string, type, variable, and I'm hoping.
Well, I'm a big fan of functional programming, and the way I understand it, maybe Bob can correct me here, is a value is equivalent to a function. So you can trade. You can fake it by providing values, and things work, but then those values will actually have to be implemented as a function. That's the way my brain works.
Yes. So right now this passes, but I suppose what I want to do is really interact with it. Forgive me if I misunderstood. Got select mortgage type, and I will say give it the string of variable, and this will still pass. So what I want to do is return this dot type, which doesn't exist, and then we'll have a failing test because type doesn't exist. Great, and we can just check that. So it's not a function. So let's do this dot type. Sorry, type, and select mortgage type. Type will be a string. So this dot type equals type. And I'm hoping now we'll get some feedback that will be good. Let's see. Sorry, it's a little slow. I'm not sure why it's.
Failed.
Video.
Oh, it's me. I'm very sorry. That was. This is why we need to test, obviously. So, so we can obviously construct this. So type will be template literal, and then that shall bring us back There we go. Passing test. Okay. What I'd like to do is just put this over here, just so I can view the module as I work. Okay. So I found a way to set the type of what I'm thinking now is I want to basically do the same, but I want to confirm that I can choose a different type. So I might want to try it fixed, for example.
Sure. Can we try one scenario?
Please.
Suppose somebody is applying for a mortgage that is lower than $1 million, in which case this person can get away with 10% down, as opposed to over 1 million, which they need 20% down.
All right.
Forget about interest rates, just to simplify things. Somebody's buying a house less than $1 million. I'm from Vancouver, so I'm throwing millions of dollars at you guys. Everything here is over $1 million. I'm sorry if somebody's shocked, but Vancouver is just like off the charts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go and do the test.
So forgive me. So they can do that, and they want to enter a deposit.
Just you are saying yes. I have 10%. I'm looking at the house that is $800,000, and I do have 10% down payment. That will give you a proof for the next step. The next step will be one fixed or variable, etc. Your first step is like, okay, what is the amount you are asking for? What is your down payment? If it's at least 10%, you are good to go to the next step. If not, you're declined. Or if you're buying a house over $1 million, then you have to say, and I have 20% down.
I understand. Thank
that's
you.
The logic. Yes.
Clarifying that. Yeah. So what I want to do, I will just talk you through my expectations. So should store, I might get the wording wrong here, down payment as 10%, as 20% if amount
$1 million or greater
is 1 million or greater. So I would say expect mortgage, mortgage calculator dot get down payment percentage to be 20%, let's say. So with that expectation, I will create my mortgage calculator. I can refactor this in a minute, but right now this is okay, this is clear. What I want to do is act, so I want to say mortgage calculator dot add amount, add borrowing amount, perhaps. And let's say say 1,200,000.
Okay.
Then I want the percentage to be 20%. If I save that now, it should fail. Okay. So we've got a failing test, that's fine. What I will do is I'll say, what's the word for it? Percentage? We can change the name.
Yeah.
Percentage rates. That's fine. And then I can say borrowing amount. And then I can say, well, right now, just again, going back to what you were saying about fake it or make it, to make this test pass, I want to say this dot percentage rate equals 20. And then going back to the method, I would say if I don't need amount right now, technically, so then I can say get payment percentage, and this will just simply return a string, which is this dot percentage rate with a percentage sign. Now, I'm hoping this will pass now, and then we can move on to a different case, which it does.
Now, why are you returning a string there?
I wasn't sure how to log the data in a suitable way, so I just kind of, I guess that would be I'm sure it's not the best way.
Well, I mean, this is a percentage rate. You're going to have to apply it to a number at some point. So you might want to not keep it as a string. You might not want to communicate it as a string. Strings are things that you stick at the very end in a UI, right? So once you really get close to the UI, then you turn things into strings.
Otherwise, it's just data.
Out here, it's data.
Yeah.
And you should be thinking about this now. These are business rule modules. They don't have anything to do with the UI. This is just all numbers. And then think again, how would you really store a percentage?
Oh, it would be a decimal.
Probably would, a fraction of some kind, yeah.
So
otherwise you're going to have a bunch of divide by hundreds everywhere.
that's a good point. Thank you. So my maths isn't the best, but I'm assuming that would be 0.2.
0.2 would be 20%, yes.
Good enough for the bank, yeah.
Great. So now we should have a failing test. And like you say, what I should do is return this dot percentage rate, which will be 0.2. Damn it. Sorry, I have messed up my previous test because I was a bit silly. Sorry. Return this dot percentage rate. And then we'll change this to 0.2. In fact, in all honesty, I don't need to do this. At this stage, I could just say percentage rate equals 0.2 and leave the method blank for now. At this stage, and you can deal with the logic that comes in the next test, because then we can deal with calculating the actual amount, the borrowing amount.
So Simon, I like what you're doing here. I would call this microtests, right?
Yeah.
Right. You're taking baby steps. I love that. It's incremental, fantastic. If you regard your test as the first client of your code, first consumer, what is this consumer hoping to get out of the code? What do you tell yourself? Okay, this guy here wants to get something out of my system. What is it? As a microtest, not as an entire system.
Well, if he wants a report of the inputs, the processing, I suppose, the processing of the mortgage application.
And what is the expected value from this test? He will behavior basically is demonstrated with return value. That's how I see it in this scenario, right? And there's going to be a value coming back from your system hitting the test, and the test will then assert. Will say, okay, well, I was expecting this, I got that. Oh yeah, this matches my expectation, or oh no, I fail, right?
So in this particular case, the value that's delivered is to determine the percentage rate based on input. So my value is that if I know that the input is going to be over 1 million.
Oh, sorry. So I'm an old schooler. We do 3 C's in the extreme programming, and card, conversation and confirmation example. So we like I like the test to have a specific number or value to say, okay, well, I'm expecting, given 1.2 million, I'm expecting 20% back, right? Does that make sense? So it's a very very concrete, very specific confirmation example, right?
Okay.
Sorry if I managed to confuse you.
No, it hasn't. I suppose I could change the approach to how I would do this. If I had a constructor with an initial, amount to borrow as its argument, then when I check percentage, then I expect it to be 0.2.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it like this. So what I will do is just refactor this a little bit. I'm hoping this is kind of what you meant. If I was to say,
you can say, given 1.2 million, I'm expecting the system to come back and tell me, hey, 20%, no less.
Yeah.
This is the business policy rule, right?
Yeah. So I will put in that. I will say I haven't seen the test fail yet. Sorry. So what I want to do is just get rid of that, and I want to say mortgage calculator.percentage rate to a public field to be 0.2. Should I put in over $1 million? Exactly. So here's the constructor. This dot amount to borrow equals amount to borrow. Yeah, I put an equals there. Okay, and then what I'm going to say is, well, let's see if that will pass the test. Excuse me. Okay. So far that passed the test. I hope that meets the requirements of the value, because here's my mortgage calculator. I want this value. What's my percentage rate going to be? Well, it's going to be 20%. Right. So my next step would be to write the same test.
Before you do,
yep.
Look at the names that you put in there and reconsider them.
Yes. I would say at this, yeah, it could be clear more. It would be clearer. So calculated percentage rate.
What are we calculating?
The interest rate. So
I don't believe that's right, Alex.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
The interest rate.
Sorry, no, down payment. The down payment. Calculate down payment amount.
So we're calculating the down payment percentage.
Yes.
Right.
So I would say let's go from the test. So down payment percentage, excuse me. So I want to do that. I want to say access the down payment percentage. So let's try refactoring that. So if I said get down payment percentage, so my yes, let's say I did that, and I'm hoping that would work. That's a bit more descriptive of what we want. So we know it's going to be 20%.
Okay, now how about a test that will go for less than $1 million? Yes,
that's what I'm thinking. So I could copy and paste it, but I try not to do that now because...
Well, do it in the interest of time. You're not going to be judged harshly.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Because we have like a quarter hour left. And this kata can mushroom into a pretty big... I was doing it, so there's all kinds of different mortgages and, you know...
Yeah, so let's say, as you said earlier, if it was $800,000, I expect mortgage calculator down payment percentage to be 10%.
Yeah.
So this should fail.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to assume that the majority of people, when they are working with this system, are not going to expect the properties they deal with to be over $1 million necessarily, unless that was a requirement that you talked about earlier. Do you think it's going to be a company where they're dealing with high percentages by default, or is it going to be more the case that it would be 10%, do you think? Or does that even matter?
Why does that matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So I would say
rules are rules.
Yeah. Okay. So so what I'll say in the constructor is if amount to borrow is greater than I think we can make that a little bit more readable, so I don't get mixed up. This dot down payment percentage is equal to 0.2. Else this dot down payment percentage is equal to 0.1. Now I'm not finished because that is already there at 0.2. Okay, that's fine. It's already at 0.2 by default. So I'm hoping that will work. Of course, I've done it wrong because, oh no, I haven't done it. I've done it the other way around.
Okay.
Yes, that's fine.
Maybe now, Simon, because we have 15 minutes left.
Yes, of course.
If you don't mind, maybe run mutation test. See what happens.
I will try. I was setting that up, and earlier I think there's a problem with my version of Node that was not going to run the striker.
Hopefully it will work.
Yes, it's because it's using, it's expecting the events module.
Carry on, no worries.
I apologize for that.
No problem, no problem.
Okay, so we're back to watching the tests.
Yeah.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to perhaps maybe tidy this up a little bit.
Now is a good moment. Your test is passing. Yeah.
Yeah. So first thing is to perhaps refactor this statement here, just to make it a little bit more concise. So this dot down payments percentage equals amount to borrow is greater than 1 million. Tenere 2, otherwise 0.1. And then if I can get rid of this block here, that might be a little easier on the eye. I don't know. Is it? Maybe it's not.
It's fine the way it is.
Yeah.
That works.
It's okay.
The third one doesn't go on, but it's fine the way it is right now.
I think I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
Simon, can I ask you now to, yes, you can polish it, but can I ask you to move into introducing fixed and variable mortgage on top of the amount that qualifies for the down payment. So we need to combine these two pieces of logic.
So before you do that,
Yeah,
let's tighten up these tests because you've got a great big hole. We don't know what happens between 120 million or 1.2 million and 800,000.
Exactly.
And we're really just testing one boundary.
Yeah.
So let's get that boundary as tight as possible.
so the thing I would respond is I want to test if it is exactly 1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What should it be if it's exactly a million?
That's a good question. So I think it
20,
says...
I said 1 million or greater, so it should be 20%, right?
So I would like to amend this wording if the amount is greater.
No, he said or 1 million or greater.
So greater than or equal. That's the logic.
The comment is correct. Just change the 1.2 to a million.
Oh, I see. Excuse me. Sorry, I was thinking about the other way around. So in the interest of time, if it's a million,
Does it work?
yeah. Sorry, I've duplicated the test, but yes,
okay.
It should work because logically that's the same. And then in this case, if I
Failed.
It does not work.
that's fine because is greater than or equal to.
There you go.
Then we're going to be fine. Sorry, I jumped ahead a step. Thank you for jumping in there. So now I've got that step and I confirmed that. Then I suppose I want to then test if it is greater.
Well, I would make it greater by the least amount possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
There you go.
That's fair enough, and that should be
That's
the
your
same.
work.
And if it's less than $1 million, we could put that.
999. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's say that that's okay. So let's try and get back to this requirement with the variable and fixed.
Put the 999 in there.
Yeah, should
Look
work.
at that. 6 9s.
6 nines.
This is the law of trichotomy.
Okay.
Whenever you've got a boundary, there's 3 possible conditions.
Yeah.
Right. So if the amount to borrow is greater than or equal to $1 million, it is 0.2. Yes, but I'm expecting, because it's less than that, which it is,
to be 10%.
Should be 0.1.
0.1, but it's failing because I'm expecting.
Interesting.
Wait a minute, I think I'm missing a zero.
Oh,
you guys knew that had happened, didn't you? And I, silly me.
You are not hired.
So we're okay now.
Simon, this interview is over. You're not hired. You're missing a zero. Sorry, I can't.
Oh, no.
We can't. No, we're a serious bank. Come on, man. A zero is a big thing in the bank.
Can't miss zeros. Right. So going back to what you said about the, let's say that the option to pass in the what the customer wants, the variable rate or the fixed rate, will be. I suppose the value, coming back to the value proposition, if I'm giving those 2 pieces of data, then ultimately I want to know what the figure will be.
Yep. Yeah.
So at this stage, I may have to amend some tests, but I'll write a new test. So let's talk about the fixed rate. Should return. I'm sorry, my maths is not the greatest, but I'll put X as a placeholder when amount is 1 million.
Oh, and sorry, just to jump in. Let's say the fixed and the variable rate apply to any amount.
Oh, okay.
Just
Okay.
the down payment. The down payment is the percentage that you calculate was for the down payment, but the percentage on the interest rate now is a different ball of fish.
Yes.
Of fish, because now we are talking about your monthly interest rate on your installments.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's regardless of the amount, right?
yes, regardless of the down payment amount.
And,
This is the
and the
monthly.
borrowing amount. If you're on a fixed, mortgage, then your monthly interest rate will be 5%, regardless of how much money you're borrowing, and regardless of how much down payment you have. I mean, of course, if you qualify.
I think we said fixed rate will be 3%.
3, yeah, and the variable will be the other way around. Fixed is less risk, therefore more risk for the bank, and they jack.
Oh, sorry, 5%, and then it'd be variable, be 3%.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've written that round. So it should return amount when the amount is, let's say it was $1 million.
Oh, sorry, the other way around. What am I thinking? I apologize.
It's okay.
Yeah, I know.
So I had 5 and I had 3. That was all right.
Yeah.
So should return X amount when it's $1 million, and the type is, let's say we did fixed. So my maths is not the best. So if 10% of $1 million is 100,000, so 3% would be 30,000. Have I got that wrong?
Yeah, you're correct.
Should
This is usually not how interest is calculated. And are you trying to calculate the amount of interest, or are you trying to specify the percentage of interest?
The percentage.
Are you doing exactly what you did with the down payment and coming up with an interest rate?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this if statement belongs in the constructor.
Yes.
And now the tests are going to all have to change. the two tests you've got.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to add the type to the constructor.
Yes. Yeah. So it should return 3% interest rate when the amount well, I don't want to be. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm going to have to consider the amount as well as the type.
The amount doesn't matter in this case, but you're still going to have to specify one.
Yeah.
But I could make it a default parameter just to help me. No.
Guys, our time is almost up.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I don't want to really. But you did really well, Simon.
3 people coding together in an hour.
Well, you know.
And it's hard to get past the initial
Yes.
hump.
Would you guys want to continue?
Past the initial hump, everything goes fast.
Would you guys want to continue into the second interview? Do you have any interest? We can set up another one. Meanwhile, you can fix your striker.
Oh, I know how to fix it. It's just my Node version. There's one too many back. So
Yeah, you can fix it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm happy. I'd love to do that again.
Yeah, me too. Bob, if you're available, we'd love to continue. I don't know.
You mean another day?
Or any other day. Doesn't have to be today.
Yeah, another day would be fine. I do have other things to do
Sure,
today.
of course. Let's talk offline. Let's schedule another call and continue. Meanwhile, Simon, if I can ask you to fix striker, that would be really interesting exercise.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
But you're hired. Don't worry about it.
I'd just like to say thank you very much to both of you for your time. I've already learned quite a lot and a lot to go away and think about here.
Thank you, Simon and Bob. We'll continue. Okay. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.